Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another session of Graduate Aspire 2022. I'm your friendly moderator for today, Ben Ibrahim. This is my second session for Graduate Aspire 2022. My first session was on Saturday, where I had some wonderful speakers to talk about a very interesting topic about the digital workplace and the hybrid workplace. Is it so hybrid anymore? Will it be hybrid all the time? Many questions are asked about that particular topic. And I was very fortunate to be the thorn amongst the roses in that session because I was the only male. And today I'm a thorn again. Okay, why am I a thorn again? Because I have four wonderful roses in front of me or next to me, digitally anyway, and in no particular order. The wonderful woman in orange is Lisa Liu, who is the Chief Human Resource Officer for Takaful. And then after that, below me, not digitally below me, but not below me, is Suguna Budumandi, who is the head of HR at HSBC Malaysia. At the bottom, she just came down from the sky because she was in a virtual sky not too long ago, is Latifa Dawood, who is the head of strategic human capital management at the one and only Khazanah National. That's right. And then it's never a complete conversation without someone from the telecommunications industry. We have Christina Chan, head of HR strategy and organizational effectiveness at U Mobile. So ladies, welcome to Graduate Aspire 2022. Great to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
Are we looking forward to our chat today? Are we looking forward to our chat today?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
That's the answer I was looking for. I thought the awkward cricket was about to come out and go, tick, 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 waiting for the answer. Okay, because you know what? This topic today is the future of work, but the last word of this topic is my favorite word in working life. What can we expect? So ladies, you are the guardians of expectations today. So let's just immediately start with the topic. And Suguna, we'll start with you first, moving to Latifa, and then after that we'll go to Lisa and then Christina, and then we'll mix it up a bit. Don't worry, no disrespect, I'm not a school teacher that is going to be very structured in terms of how we answer the question. It's going to be a coffee shop conversation. If you can see my mug here, I can't really see it because of a green screen. I'm going to treat this like we are all having a teh tarik somewhere, but with no char kway teow, okay? Maybe one day we can take a Graduate Aspire 2022 trip to Penang. That would be great. Okay, but before we take that trip to Penang, let's talk about the topic, future work. What can we all expect? Now, we haven't started. We're in the midst of an evolution. Okay, now we have all gone to the office, like Lisa and I were talking just now off camera, dealing with manic Mondays, reading 51,000 emails on the Sundays, so our Mondays will be not so much fun, but things have different now. You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to meet up with people anymore. And everything's virtual, everything's flexible, or is it flexible? So, so the major question is, how can workers from all walks of life, when I say all walks of life, age, mindset, attitudes, and everything. It's not so much about their age, it's about their attitudes and mindsets benefit from the technological advancements in the workplace. And the subset to that question is, are some people finding this current work environment a bit of a disadvantage because they're not so tech savvy? Suguna.
Sure, it's a great question, Ben. Thank you, Graduan, for having me speaking in this event today, and great to partner with Ben and the other colleagues here for this conversation. So great question. Now, in terms of, are there any benefits? Now, certainly there are many benefits that workforce can realize from the technological advancement. And if I may pick 2 or 3 examples, and definitely my colleagues here will be adding on to that. One of the key benefits that we see is certainly automation takes away a lot of tedious processes that any employee are expected to do, and put it on what I call as an autopilot mode, where they are now then able to focus on what the expectations of customers are and delivering those expectations. So just to give you a bit of insights to that, one of the survey that McKinsey did in terms of the workplace surveys, it does show that at least 40% of the respondents who responded to the survey say that 1/3 of their time they are spending entering data or sending out emails, and that really takes away time in doing things that matters for the customers and for people around them and the communities that they serve. And hence, investing in such software solution does give them more time in doing value-added work, and at the same time reduce inaccuracy as well. So that's one of the benefit. The other benefit, Ben, and the participants who have dialed in, I'm sure you heard about it as well. A lot of organizations have moved to hybrid working model. And one of the possibility of doing this is because of organizations, they do have collaborative tool that enable them to continue work and people to be as productive as they can be, whether in the office or working remotely, right? Many employees, like for example, in the case of HSBC, when we did our survey, many of our employees, in fact, more than 30% of our employees came back and said that with hybrid working model, they are able to still be as productive as they were while they were working in the office. And the benefit they see is ability to balance work and life. That's one benefit. Of course, some have come back to say they also save from commuting in terms of money invested in commuting and time invested in commuting. So those are some of the examples that people have seen that benefit them. But I'll just stop there, Ben. Perhaps my team here would like to add some thoughts as well.
It's a very great points that you've just opened up, because it's never easy being the first speaker, but you've done that very, very well. So kudos to you. But Latifa, I mean, just based on your experience and based on what Suguna said, do you want to add to that in terms of where we are in terms of that particular question of, is it an advantage or a disadvantage?
Thank you, Ben. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Graduan, for the opportunity to meet everyone virtually. Yeah, I echo what Suguna said. There's a lot of advantages that we have seen. And in the past 2 years, we've also proven that it can be done, and it has benefited both the employee and the organization. So the trick that we all have to figure out is what is the optimum. So I think we haven't quite get the answer yet, and depending on what type of business you're in and the clients that you support, there would be different formula that will work. For us in a service more technology-driven organization, then we find that work has not been much affected in terms of getting to the results. However, I put a caveat that for some particularly young associates who's just coming new, there is a little disadvantage that we have found and they have raised, is because, doing the job and getting to be competent in a job is not just about bringing in what you have. It's actually learning from each other. And that part is proving to be slightly difficult in a non-active interaction environment. So for employees, what people have raised is that, different types of jobs and different level of your positions may require different adjustments to how much you work remote and how much you work in the office where you interact with people. So, however, having said that, I am really positive and confident that we will figure that out, because at the end of the day, everybody is out to work and do their best, and that means that each one of us will, for as long as we are doing what's best for us, I think the organization will benefit.
100%, and you used a really, really good word there, which is going to lead to another part of our question, for probably question 3 or 4, but I'll address that a little bit later. Optimum. What is the optimum? And my favorite 2 words, my other favorite 2 words, what is the middle ground? Okay, so we'll talk about that later. Skill set, attitude set, leadership set, all the sets and all the above. But we'll go to you, Lisa. Lisa, what's your views on this question? I mean, what's this? Latifa and Suguna has opened it up quite well. And ladies, please, you don't have to agree with each other, yeah? Please, open conversation, open mindsets, growth mindsets. Lisa.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks, Graduan, for having me. I mean, obviously, I echo what the ladies have said. Obviously, it's higher productivity and output. For the employees, you get faster and more efficient way of doing things. especially work that requires a lot of processes, especially in the insurance or the Takaful line today, we're talking about technology that says, you don't have to process papers to do underwriting. You can do a straight through process, buy insurance online. Yeah, in that sense. For the employees, obviously, it's the learning, it's tremendous. If you're not prepared to open your mind and learn, you're forced into that situation to pick up new skills and new technology. And the analogy of that is, if you remember those days that, when we learned to embrace the evolution and cycle of the mobile phone, isn't it? Ben, if you remember those days with the wired and aerial mobile phone and the SMS, and today we're talking about flicking the screen. Yeah, even the babies are doing that, learning that, right? Flicking the screen. So you're forced into a situation where you've got to move ahead. And for some of us who are older one, you remember the word perfect days before the Windows days. Yeah, we were forced into learning how to use the Windows. Yeah. So the learning opportunity for a lot of young and old, it's tremendous, with the technology advancement. Yeah, you just got to catch up. That's it.
You just got to catch up. That's the honest truth about it. Well said there, Lisa. Christina?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Christina here from U Mobile. So adding on to what my peers has mentioned, right? So from the technological advancement, it creates many more opportunities at the workplace, I would say. Adding on more about the new level of communication, right? So all people now, thanks to the smartphones, the chat apps, and also the cloud technology that we have. So keeping in touch with each other is made so easy, right? Or face-to-face after work, out of the normal working hours. Even people, depending on how people view it, right? The staff view it either creating more work-life balance or less work-life balance for them. I would also like to add on one point on cybersecurity. As more and more work are done digitally, right? I would say with all this technological advancement, a heightened level of security is being put in place. Many organizations are putting more proper cybersecurity measures into the workplace so that we help to making sure all important information are kept safe by the employee and in the organization. And final point, again, which again echoing more, I couldn't agree that increased collaboration are either locally or regionally or globally, right? Because again, with all this technology advancement allow us to communicate better with one another. Yeah, so with that, back to you, Ben.
Now, well done. Great answer there. Very, very specific. Okay, ladies, now that you're all warmed up, I feel actually horribly awful that I should have done a better PR job and send you all some very nice Starbucks or some coffee. Give people also that in this conversation on Monday afternoon. But let me start the second question with a bit of a story. And Lisa, I'm going to start with you on this one. I was going to go with Christina, but Christina, your answer gave me some really, really good food for thought. And I'm going to go with you second, Latifa third, Suguna fourth. Because Lisa, you mentioned just now in your answer, yes, once upon a time, no disrespect, a paper pencil pusher, admin person will come to you, please fill out this form, please fill out this form, please fill out this form. And then you go, oh my God, this is so much fun. I just want to buy insurance so I'll be okay. As they say, the devil is in the details. Same in the banking industry and same in all your industries for that matter. So my question is, technology, yes, wonderful, but two things that I believe. Number one, the depreciation of values to our families. I'm sure we all have families. I mean, how many times does the phone or the iPad distract us from having a meaningful, honest conversation at the dinner table, which is probably super comfort these days. Okay, but the second one, from the HR perspective, replacing jobs. And the job that I always like to relate to, the one that we all can connect with because we see this person all the time, is the car park professional. The car park professional who we give the money, they give the change, they give a receipt so we can claim it from work or convince work to pay for it because that was a work meeting. And yeah, but now these days, that person has been replaced by a machine. Okay? And there's no emotion with that machine. The machine makes a mistake. Sorry, it's gonna be a journey to try to get your money back or to get the receipt or whatever. So, I mean, where are we with that? In terms of, and maybe you can speak from your particular industry, because now, Lisa, especially with your industry, whenever I see my insurance person, Ben, please auto sign this, please auto sign that. I said, wait a minute, can't someone forge that signature? Or can't someone do this? Can't someone do that? Where's the data protection, privacy, all that sort of stuff? And then they'll give me a long convoluted answer, Okay, fine, no worries. Okay, but it's replace that person. Once upon a time, it was a person doing all the administration, putting in files chronologically, and it can be found or can't be found because it's really, really hard to find all data. So does that question make sense, ladies?
Yeah.
So Lisa,
totally. I mean, to answer your question, Ben, to be very honest, truth be told, to some extent, I won't call it replace the person,
Pretty strong word, isn't it? Replaced.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, behind the technology, there are still people working to create and advance in that technology. And Christina just brought a point, the IT security. Now, today in the market, and then for the younger ones who are listening here, there is a huge potential market for IT security talents. So comes when we sunset certain areas of work, there comes sunrise in another area of work, which is IT security, the technology, the new technology that are being brought up. So in some ways, it's not so much as replacement. I think what needs to change, the paradigm shift is, and I always tell this in every other sessions, especially with the higher learning institutions and the Ministry of Higher Learning, they just need to catch up with the technology. And today, our graduates are not learning the right and relevant technology at school, right? Especially programming, coding, and stuff like that. We've just got to build the right talents to meet future needs, because the technology is advancing so quickly that, some of us are trying to catch up with it. So the long and short of it, obviously, yes, to some extent, you can say some people may lose their job, but you got to unlearn and relearn and try and skill up to catch up with that. Yeah. So it's not so much as replacement. Yeah.
Okay, but no worries. Well put. I mean, and to the other ladies, Christina, Latifa, and Suguna, maybe you can give some specific examples from your industry where, not maybe the word replaced, but evolutionized, if that's such a word. And so once upon a time, that role was a human. Then not so long in the future, that role was automated. Christina?
Yeah, sure. So also touching back to like 2.5 years, we had the pandemic, right? Now we go to adjusting to the endemic. So very personal to us is all the C's level, they have a PA or secretary or support for them. So because of the roles are taken over by when people are working from home, then basically the C's are independent also, like creating their own digital schedules. So these roles are no longer required. So what we do is upskilling them. They become what we call like the admin support team, and providing support to a lot of what system is that? The finance system, or the booking of travel, or that time no booking of travel, right? Basically upskill them so that they can be working on other admin related jobs. That is in telco. Having said that, echoing back to what Lisa mentioned, right? There is I would say, disruption as in technology taking away the job. More important is for the individuals, right? For graduates listening to us as Graduan, how are you going to make sure that you acquire the right skills for the future, right? So that you are not made redundant as technology continue to catching up with us, right? So we are always like trying to play the catching up game, and it's always tiring. So for this new group of young graduates, right, and listening to experienced people like us sharing what we have done, maybe not right in the past, and now there's an opportunity for us say, okay, we walk that journey. What can be done better? I would say is about learning agility and asking ourselves on what is my own life purpose, and acquire the right skill so that we are not out of employment. Back to you, Ben.
No, well said. And Latifa, how about the Khazanah side? Because I know Khazanah for a fact, you all work very hard at your sustainability and strategy factors for the long run.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. To continue, I think one of the things that we all are aware that the country aspires to be is a high income nation, right? We can't get to be a high income nation if we don't rapidly and eagerly, all willingly change to the way we do things and change to the way we pay for things, right? So if you look at how we all can earn more is if we can be more productive. So there are jobs, there are tasks that currently are being done by workers that probably can be automated. So we all have to go figure that out. I can take some examples from where I came from before, where I used to work in a manufacturing environment, where at the height of that, in that factory that I worked, there was 6,000 people, and we were giving like X value of exports. But 10 years later, we have the number of workers, but with one person manning almost a whole line, and 3x the value of exports. And all that done because of automation, because of technology. And what happens then to people, then people will have to just change and do different things. And similarly for the country in other jobs, we will find that there are jobs that's not going to go away. There are jobs in cleaning industry. There are jobs in hospitals, nurses. Those type of jobs not going to go away. There are jobs taking care of safety and regulations. In road safety, for example, those jobs are not going to go away. However, for each of those jobs, if we can do it better, more efficiently, then we can pay more. So that's where I think, from a macro perspective, that the country have to go to, either we do more with less, or we keep the same number of people, but we'll do more value, and we look at new markets to sell our services and products. And that's the only way for us to grow the income level and the quality of life that we all have. Now, I know some of it sounds a bit theoretical, but we can take some examples and look at it very clearly. Take as an example how we have replaced pretty much the taxi industry, how Uber and Grab have changed that, right? Because consumers are willing to pay, consumers value flexibility, and so forth and so on. But even that, within the span of, we changed from Uber to Grab, and now there are other players, and it continues to change. So what we know for sure is that even though a new industry is created, new type of work is created now, we don't know how long that's going to last. Chances are the next change is going to be a lot faster than the last change. So that's, I think, is going to be the key to us, to all of us, young and old. I mean, I'm nearing retirement, and, I started learning and doing computer science, but what I learned is archaic now. Of course, I can relate to Back to the Future. But what we do know now may not take us to where we're going to be in the future, number one. Number two, what we don't know, what we don't have already, could be in somebody's head and could be an idea with someone that may just be around the corner. So to survive and to be competitive, we all have to be willing and want to learn and unlearn. So I think that's going to be key for us individually, as well as for companies like Khazanah.
You're right. It is going to be the right way to learn and unlearn, and that's what needs to be done. But saying that is the easiest two things in the world to talk about, but the hardest things to execute. Because certain people unlearning at a certain point in their career is very, very challenging. Let's put it that way. How about you, Saguna? What's your views on the question about new jobs and where we're heading towards the future or back to the future?
Yeah, certainly a great question. No doubt that we are already seeing the shift happening in a very accelerated manner, particularly roles that are very manual and repetitive, Ben, the one that you mentioned, right? Those are the ones that we see where the impact is much faster as compared to other roles. The other observation we see is it can be very different from one industry to another. And within the industry itself, we see it can be different from one company to another as well, depending on the investment they have, depending on the type of customer they serve and the needs they have. It tend to be a bit different. So it's not really one size fits all. But what for sure we can see, there's a lot of data out there that's showing that the automation and artificial intelligence will certainly accelerate the shift in the skills that organizations need. That's something that's very clear. I mean, even if you go and look at some surveys, right, World Economic Forum is a very good platform for us to get data points. And it does show that by 2025, it is showing that more than 50% of all employees will need some form of upskilling or reskilling. And when they did survey across the globe, at least 49% of the respondents say that their job needs some kind of specialist training as well. So we all see that we all need to be upskilled based on the type of deliverables that we deliver for our organization. And what's interesting is I was in a couple of forums the other day, and while World Economic Forum says that 50% of people need some form of upskilling, every other forum that I speak and I say, can how many of you feel that you need some kind of upskilling or reskilling, even the job that you're doing currently, right? Actually, 100% stand up. They all say somehow we feel like, macam tak cukup, like we need more training. We need to be better prepared in handling our job today and for future. So therefore, I think what I can say safely is, while there's no one size fits all, what I can say safely is a lot of many organizations are investing in upskilling of their workforce. That I can see. And then my organization, for example, in HSBC, just last year alone, we spent 13 million ringgit just on training. And this year we are spending more, right? And for example, for graduates who are in the call today, you might be wondering, oh my God, if the workforce at work are going through all this shift, and then what about us? What are our opportunities, right? And this, I go back to what the panelists have also said. There's a high opportunities for graduates because they come with very good data savvy. They come with very good digital mindset as well. And that helps organization to speed up their agenda by having many of the young graduates and be part of a very inclusive, diverse workforce. Because what we need is, we believe in a diverse and inclusive workforce, because you have got the workforce that are, very much experienced, and they come with that business savvy and experiences, knowledge about risk. And then you have the emerging talent who are very, very good digitally. And we need a combination of all this in order to drive the better outcome for our customers. It's very clear. A lot of survey out there shows that when you have all the different skill set and knowledge and diverse thought-taking process, it definitely helps drive more innovation and outcome. So just to give you some specific example, as Ben asked, any specific examples, HSBC, for example, we have what we call as the GGP Global Graduate Program, where we hire fresh graduates. And we have started tweaking our program to include a lot of data insights. We have digital black belt program where we train it's an open enrollment program. Anybody can sign for it. And they go through 3 cohort of learn, 3 subset of learning. We try to create our own data scientists as well in the bank. And we have programs such as You Grow, where we look at emerging talent and see how we upskill them to contribute to the society that we live in as well. So this is just to give the assurance to the graduates who are dialing in today that while you hear a lot of data about jobs going away, while you hear a lot of data about we need upskilling, it's something that organizations are also seeing, that we need a lot of this emerging talent to come in and be part of this inclusive workshop in order to make an impact. So I think one of the panelists said it's all about, are you ready to learn? I think that's the question that you want to be asking. Are you open to learning? new skill set, then the world is yours. It is just, everything is at your hand. I'll just stop there.
No, perfect timing to stop, because I do have to warn you ladies for my next question that I'm not the greatest deck presenter or deck creator. I'm a decent deck presenter, but deck creator in the world. But as you all were talking and I was writing down my notes and everything like that, I actually put together a little slide on paper, so it's going to look extremely chincha. I'm going to try to show it to you in a minute. So it's just this piece of paper right here.
Okay.
And then it's called, the top of the screen says the new jobs.
Right.
New jobs, and then mid-career, fresh graduate. Okay, but in the two big circles I put right there, one circle is called skills and character. Okay, and I'm going to explain this story a little bit so you can answer the best question possible, because whenever we talk about new jobs, interview techniques, really specific skills and techniques, especially at Graduate Inspire every year, our viewers just pop up and say, okay, boom, I'm asking the question. So this is going to open up the box of questions. And then the other circle I put in there was what Latifa said earlier. What is the optimum? What's the bare minimum? So I want you all to think, and I'm not going to ask someone to answer first. I'm going to put it back to you. Who wants to go first? Okay, and then we'll go in the sequential order, after that, and so think about what kind of new jobs will there be out there in the future. And when I say the future, I'm not talking about 10, like the blue ocean strategists or the consultants. This must have a 10-year plan, mid, short, and long, It has to go in the next couple of years, because the future is short. Because what COVID has taught us, the future is short and the future is changing day by day. Obviously, heavily influenced by COVID, the strands, the risk of health and all the above out there. Okay, today the airports might open. God forbid, tomorrow they might close. Okay, so new jobs. Okay, what are the skills and what is number one? What are those jobs? And this is strictly your opinion. What are those jobs? What are the skills and characters to do those jobs? And number three, okay, in a perfect world, we want everybody to have 12 out of 10, but it ain't gonna happen. It's not. It's just not gonna happen. Okay, because if people have 12 out of 10, they're gonna be very expensive, and we all have a manpower budget to adhere to. I know HR people are always standing by the HR budgets. Okay, their manpower budgets. So, but the other part of that question, what is the bare minimum, optimum, and middle ground to get that new talent for those new jobs that has the ideal skill set and character set? Because as they say, character sometimes trumps skill, because if they have the right attitude, they're willing to learn and relearn. But sometimes if they're so highly skilled and they're so qualified, overqualified, they can't. So who wants to go first?
I think the word that comes to mind, Ben, I think the future of talents has to be agile, So one of those things that pops up in my head, for sure, it's like project managers has to be either they're scrum masters, they've got to be agile, they've got to be flexible, in order to juggle multi-prong of projects. Because today in an organization, you just don't do one project at one time, it runs in multiple, timing in that sense. The other one, I think Saguna has mentioned, data analysts. Yeah, today, obviously there's definitely a gap in the market for data scientists, data analysts. Yeah, and developers, it's no longer knowing one language, years ago, we've not heard of full stack. Latifa, you might wonder, it's just Java developers. Today, we're talking about full stack developers, and they're expected to know all levels of Java, I suppose, in that sense. One of those things that I could think of, probably the future, of positions would be maybe innovation engineers. As we progress in technology, you would want
innovation engineers. Please. Yes.
Yeah, innovation engineers, you could, put together a team of engineers to try and, get into ideation and then produce more new technology. With all these comes, well-being manager. We know our workforce today, and FWD has got a very established, well-being programs. So potentially, I would be looking at hiring a well-being manager in the future to come, to look after employees.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it all depends, in terms of each individual organization, how they shift. I think most importantly for graduates today is to have an open mindset, be agile, be nimble enough to learn, the rapid growth of technology, A couple of years back, we were talking about there was a gap of wanting more mobile apps, developers in the market, and we don't have enough of that in the Malaysian market, and we've gone outside of the market to get them in. So that's where our graduates have got to start thinking about it. Where is that shortage? And if you have got that passion for it, why not? Yeah.
Christina, you said you wanted to go next? Thank you.
Sure. I would say it's around our health, and as many nations also start to have more aging population, right? So Malaysia is also not running away from that. It's a good news that people takes care of the health and having more longer, healthier life. That also means a lot more opportunities will be created along healthcare related, right? Whether it's frontline or the back support. So having said that, having the agility, the mental agility to me is personally very important. The cognitive skill or the thinking skills are also very important. Having the ability, like adding to what Lisa mentioned just now about being agile, right? So our mental flexibility to me also equally important. Like now with post-pandemic, everyone basically is stressed, right? Nobody can claim they're not stressed. So every one of us are actually managing our own stress in our own way. So being able to flex our mental strength is very important. How to do that is basically, I would say, even simple things like having a sense of humor. All right, seeing things from different perspectives, viewing the glass half full or half empty. Yeah, having the creativity and imagination in our work. Because now, right, with the advancement of technology, without the growth mindset, like being able to look at the risk and opportunity, we will be forever stuck if we continue to stay in a fixed mindset in the old time. So the ability to learn and being able to adapt to the situation is very important. That's how I also link it back to overall what I call the cognitive skills for individual. In the cognitive skill also, I add on communication. Communication skill is a bit tricky, right? Some people see it as a soft skills, but to me, and also from my experience seeing graduates, mid-career and successful leaders, those who are able to grasp and understand, to have good communication skills are very important. Like now people talk about, we are like, flooded with tons and tons of data, right? Management or CEOs always say, the staff give them a lot of data, but no insights. Give me data insights that I can take it and improve the business. So storytelling skill is very important. We can also see that booming in the market. So for the graduates to pick up on this is so important. Being able to ask the right questions and adopt different thinking perspective, what we also call the business acumen, whether as a graduate, you are being placed in telecommunications, insurance, banking, engineering, right? Being able to understand the language of the business is very, very important. And another soft skill is active listening, which I would say many graduates also needs to develop a stronger active listening skill. Other than that, like the digital skills, it is as long with an open mindset, I would say it is easier to learn up these skills. It is hard, however, it is more learnable as compared to the cognitive skills that I mentioned. Yeah. And over back to you, Ben.
Very diversified answers both of you have given me, because I'm writing down notes as we speak. And if someone were to look at my notes right now, they would probably a big set of jobs or advertisement for jobs in the newspaper, or I can't say newspaper anymore, online. And what kind of jobs they can. So like Lisa has come at me with some very, very technical jobs. And Christina, you come at us with some very specific jobs in terms of, but not so much jobs, but more about attitudes, characteristics and how we develop those characteristics, because you can't develop characteristics overnight. Okay, you can't develop it after 1 month. Sometimes you can't even develop it after 1 year. And characteristics are sometimes nurtured from the greatest school of all, which is not a formal school, which is the school of mom and dad. Okay, if mom and dad carry the same values of Khazanah, of HSBC, of U-Mobile, and Takaful because their parents work there, then there's a very strong chance that, those values of listening and open communication, strength through diversity, engage and inspire, build self-awareness.
Okay, we lost Ben for a while.
Ben?
Ben, you're frozen.
Yeah. So maybe I will just add on to that question that Ben,
why not?
maybe I'll share on the HSBC side of it. So maybe I'll talk a little bit about the skill set and then I'll move on to talk about the job. So on the skill set side, there's a lot of data out there for graduates. If you Google, I'm sure you get a lot of information about what's emerging, right, as far as industry is concerned. But if I can share the HSBC framework, so we have what we call as the technology framework, and then we have the other one, what we call as the personal skill or the essential skill. So when it comes to the HSBC technology framework, we are looking at machine learning, cybersecurity, data analysis, software development, and user interface experiences. So that's one subset that we are looking at currently. And then when we look at the essential skill or the personal skills, the skill set required in order for us to make a change, which means that regardless whatever technology that's out there and that is going to come along our way, the fact is if we have this essential skills, we will be able to transition, right? And in HSBC, we divided that into 9 different skill sets. If I can quickly just read it out. One, and it's quite similar to what Christina was sharing, is the sense of curiosity, creativity, connectivity, resilience, customer engagement, developing others, change management, managing communication, and growth mindset. So these are some of the skill set that we are looking at from an essential skill perspective that we believe will equip people to be ready for future. So those are the skill set. Now, if I move to the next question, that is, what are the emerging roles? Now, what we are seeing is, of course, it's very different from one industry to another, right? So again, there's no really one size fits all, and this is non-exhaustive, which means whatever we are talking about today, 1 month later can be very different. So at this point, what we have picked up, depending on the industry. So for example, Lisa mentioned about well-being, right? It's very, very obvious in the HR space, we are seeing desire to have more online psychologists. So it can be your well-being specialists or psychologists, though a lot of organizations do have employee assistance program in place, but we are beginning to see that alone is insufficient. We want to have sufficient capabilities within the organization that can handle a lot of conversations on well-being. So online psychologists is a space that's growing in HR. HR analysts, like for example, my team members, I invest quite a fair bit on their machine learning, AI and all, and I continue encouraging because you need a lot of people insights to make what Christina was talking about, data alone insufficient, but what's the insights it's giving me to drive my business, right? So a lot of data analytics. In the banking industry, of course, you see a lot of cybersecurity expert. That's an area that you will see more and more. In the medical field, you start seeing a lot of bioethics as well, in terms of, creating. So, for example, when you come up with the drugs, right, for your patients, are we exercising ethics in it? So a lot of bioethics, virtual reality architects, data scientists for sure. Aerospace is another area on infrastructure developers. Interestingly, social media in terms of influencers, that's going to be another job that earns a lot of money as well, right? So it's very different. It's changing. It's very industry specific, and those are some of the examples that we think graduates like yourself can pay a little bit more attention in being a bit more future ready. But it doesn't stop there. This will continue evolving from time to time. I'll just stop there. Ben, we took the opportunity to continue on your question.
No, I said no. It's really funny. We're talking about technology and everything like that, and then the Wi-Fi, Uncle Wi-Fi or Auntie Wi-Fi doesn't like me very much, so they kick me out for whatever reason. Maybe I didn't buy them the good old values of belanja someone makan. So maybe I didn't do that in my soft skill. Maybe that should be a job right there, belanja makan manager, teach them how to build relationships and everything. So I got kicked up. I just did move position to my colleague Dania's seat, and I did capture what you were saying in terms of really important what you're saying, machine learning, because that is a job that's going to evolutionize forever, as well as the social media manager or specialist position. That's going to be a job that's going to evolutionize forever as well, because today it's TikTok, Slack, Twitch, all of the above, things that we probably have no idea how it actually fundamentally works. But next year, those apps are outdated. People are calling Facebook uncle as we speak. We're like, what?
Yes.
How can you call it uncle? That was only launched in 2007.
Yeah. Facebook is kind of dated already.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it is what it is, and out there, the social media the app companies are having a warfare of each other and flexing who's got the biggest muscle. Obviously Facebook had enough money to take over Instagram, but do the others have the same sort of financial hustle and muscle? We don't know. So that's going to be an interesting space to monitor, because I always tell people, watch that space, because that space could destroy or create jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, because it influences the way we work. So, Latifa, did I miss your part, or have you not gone?
No, you have not. I was waiting to do last.
Okay.
So, quick one. One of the things that I think we all already know, but for young graduates as particularly, that jobs now and in the future need not have to be where you are geographically located. So similarly, like Malaysian companies can look out and buy expertise from everywhere in the world, right? We could pose a need and we get people who will bid to service us or to provide their job. So one thing that all of us Malaysians must know is that skills and competency are very portable now, that it could be, it could go to the highest bidder. And that's just the nature of things now. Similarly, for our service, if we are good and we are able to do skills or service that other people need not be a company in Malaysia, and you can provide that service to a company in New York or in Oslo or in Amsterdam or Africa, because technology allow you to do that, and there is now acceptance of such trans-border service provider, be it at a company level or at individual expert level. So that's the good thing. Now, the not so good thing is then there is more competition, and there is a lot more difficult for regulators, right, to say yes or no, and that comes with it with multiple different levels of issues that we need to deal with. But if I look at it from I'm an employee or I'm an individual with a certain skill set, I could look at the world and say, okay, where do I go and sell my trade, and in a legal way, right? So that's one thing. The other thing that I also want to challenge our graduates, that we also, and I have shared this view also with the faculty members of our universities, that graduates today are being taught not just to go out there and become an employee. There must be enough Malaysian graduates who must aspire to be an employer one day, and in not so. So there is a need for us to push for innovation and entrepreneurial skills, so that some of our graduates will come out fresh from college and become business owners and developers or whatever, and hire 5, 6, 7 people. If we have many of that, that's how economy will grow. So I think, the opportunity and the capability of doing that is available. And the good thing is, because of technology, learning is quite democratized. That you have a reasonably equal access to get education in countries like Malaysia. So that's, I think, the good thing. Now, coming back to your point earlier, what would be some of the jobs that I think sustainability and ESG, to what Ben has said, Khazanah has openly talked about, and certainly that is an area that's going to impact us in a most likely going to be in a big way. We don't know how yet, but we do know some of our companies, even Khazanah companies, are already impacted, are already preparing and trying to speed up that identifying what are the issues and what are our response to the movement on sustainability and ESG. And that is just a matter of time that it get momentum, it get recognized, and it get demanded by consumers as well as citizens, anywhere in the world. And if you look at the young people, they are a lot more, how should I say, sensitive, a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? They're sensitive. They want to do the right thing. They want to be the good citizen of the earth, right? So there is bound to be more pressure for companies to respond to such a request, such a demand. As an employee, employees are demanding they want only to work with responsible employers. And as employers, we also want to make sure that our products are meeting all the sustainability standards so that our consumer will feel good to buy our products and services. So I think those things will continue to play in the next few years. And certainly it will impact and change the way work is done.
Now, the word that you were looking for, correct me if I'm wrong there, Latifa, when you were saying about, sensitive, the other word is idealistic. A lot of the fresh graduates there are super, super idealistic. Ladies, correct me if I'm incorrect, but I don't think I am with the way you're smiling right now. So, and also just, wrapping up your answers, very, very fantastic answers with great substance and meat. So well done. Thank you so much for that. But just to summarize your answers, it is a tough world out there and it's forever changing, and it's just changing in 24 hours. I don't know if you can hear it. There's like there's a drill outside of my building right now where I'm at. I think that drill is the sound of change. What are they drilling for? Is it, to create more jobs or to decrease more jobs? Are they going to collapse certain buildings because, that company that was there last year is not going to be there anymore? So that is the environment that we're working on, and the drilling is still going. So I hope you can't hear that, but I'm going to drown that drilling up. But the jobs that you have created by saying what should be out there in terms of jobs of the future, in no particular order. Some of them were very, very technical. Some of them were very generic. I'll start with the technical job. Lisa, you mentioned project management, data analytics, data scientists, developers, innovation engineers. And then after that, Suguna, you mentioned, machine learning. That person who is a machine learning person, their skill set needs to be evaluated every 3-4 years, because the machine learning skills that they have today may not be relevant in 4 years' time. Same with social media, which Suguna was saying earlier as well. And then obviously, Latifa was saying sustainability and strategy, something Khazanah works very, very hard at. Big companies hire management consultants. No disrespect to management consultants, but they're expensive, really expensive. Okay. All right. And because why do we hire these people? Because that the certain corporations don't have the bandwidth or the internal resources to sit down and do the figure crunching to come up with a long-term strategy that will say, okay, this is going to happen. And then someone negative is going to turn around and say, could this strategy or PowerPoint deck or predict COVID? Could it predict the next strand that's going to come out next week? No. Okay, that's the funny part of it. Christina, you mentioned stress management. I put here comedy management because people need to laugh. Okay, people are taking themselves too seriously at the moment. I put here surgery manager because Christina was saying, look, people need to listen. People need to use their ears. People need to use their eyes. People need to use their mouth. and mouths to ask the questions. Because in high school, generally speaking, we are taught not to ask the questions. We are taught not to have the confrontations. We are taught just to nod our head and, ikut perintah boss and ikut arahan boss. But the sign of a good manager is that they throw all that out and say, look, this is a new land. This is Khazanah land. This is U Mobile land. This is HSBC. This is Takaful. This is the way you do things is by starting with the basics. And the basics is asking questions. Can everybody do that with a surgery manager? Maybe not. Maybe yes. Who knows? So ladies, is that a great is that an accurate summarization of what you were trying to get at?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to just build on what Latifah said. That's certainly a key agenda for many organizations, including HSBC, on the green skills law. That's certainly a very big part. And the expectations are there for organizations to ensure that we take care of the three Ps, right? The planet, the people, and the prosperity. So it's a big area. And I think organizations in Malaysia are already investing in having whether they are chief sustainability officers to start with. But we know that every single work that we do has an impact, whether to the people or to the environment, right? And it's something that we all need to start getting into as quickly as possible. So thanks, Latifah, for bringing it up. It's a big agenda for us.
No, it's massive. It's massive, and well done and well summarized right there. But the final question that I have for you, and we're in no rush to finish, so please take your time a little bit. I want to finish the session with another scenario, a scenario that we can all connect to. Maybe a scenario that our younger generation can't connect to, but to our younger generation who is watching this episode, this Graduate 2022 episode, please go to YouTube after this and type in the movie Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox. In the 90s, there was a movie called Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox, a very famous actor then. And I think he was married to Heidi Klum once upon a time. Okay, two very, very big celebrities. Okay.
I didn't know that, but okay. Now I know.
Okay, but there you go. And in the movie, the movie was literally Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox was a guy called Marty McFly. He was his best friend with the professor, a very, very, very smart professor who created a car called the DeLorean. The DeLorean could go back to the future and go towards the future. And the part of the movie, even though it sounds comical, was about, okay, if you went back to the future, back to the past, or back to the future, what would you change? But what are the repercussions of that change? Would Einstein be ever created? Would Henry Ford develop great cars? Would Mark Zuckerberg create Facebook? Would Tony Fernandez create Asia? Would Tan Sri create Top Glove, for that matter? Okay, would our companies be formed as Takaful, U Mobile, HSBC, or Khazanah, or would they be named something else? A lot of factors there. So I'm not asking all of you as panel speakers to talk about going back to the future. I'm going to ask you to talk about what's your vision of going to the future. But I'm going to ask you to be very, very specific. Again, I'm not going to ask anybody to go first. Who wants to go first goes first, and then we'll follow that sequential order, and then we'll summarize, and then we'll wrap up the show. But towards the future, what is that future in terms of, let's not go to the economics point of view. Let's not go to the culture point of view. Let's definitely not go to the political point of view, but let's go from the manpower skill set point of view and jobs point of view. Okay. When is this future that you are talking about? Is it 2025? Is it 2036? What is the future that we're trying to get to in terms of everything is super advanced? But it's not advanced forever. It's gonna re-advance again and again and again and again. And what type of, what type of work environment will we be working in, tech or non-tech? And how do we individuals, whether we as fresh graduates or we as mid-careers, keep up with that future, that forever moving future? Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I can give a shot to this first. What we are anticipating is certainly uncertainty is the only certainty. So we never knew COVID will impact us, and we navigated through it. We believe that there's lots more uncertainty that we don't know. So that's going to be the certainty. The other thing is we are telling ourselves, don't learn to be perfect, but let's learn to be anti-fragile, because the situation will need us to navigate through the vulnerabilities that we live in. Third, a little bit on in terms of, I think we spoke a lot about AI and robotics being central to work. We will see more of that for sure. We will see increased momentum in sustainable goals. What Latifah mentioned, we certainly will see a lot of that. If I may add, last but not least, digital awareness will evolve from fiction to reality. So what it means is there's more to unknown. There are already organizations, especially outside Malaysia, that people come to work. You walk in with the robots as your work colleagues. It's already happening. We have some form of robotics, but in a very simplified version. What we are seeing, you'll see more of that. And there's more that we don't know as well. I think Latifah tried speaking about that in the beginning. There's a lot more to the unknown. So those are some of the, what we call as the metaverse of work. I'll just stop there for others to add in.
I was just thinking about the teh tarik, the mamak shop. And there'll be more of the robots serving you the teh tarik. Bring it to your table. But I think we're looking at it now, I think till 2050, you know, whatever year that there is. I mean, at the FWD Takaful, we are already looking at it now. One of those things that we did in our Hong Kong office was to play around with the metaverse, as Saguna has mentioned. But I do think the future of work, especially those who are tuning in now, it's basically looking at output driven. You know, it's not like going into the office 9 to 5 and doing what you're supposed to do. I think the future of work for employees is going to be looked at the productivity rate, the output driven rate, you know, that you can produce. And we're going to go back to where you're going to be paid based on skills rather than, you know, your degree and whatnot, you know, what you know. So it's not the years of experience, but rather your skill set. I mean, you see that in Australia, you pay a whole lot for a plumber, isn't it? Yeah, so you're going to go back and look at that. And the organization will have to kind of embrace flexibility, which today at FWD Takaful, we do that. You know, we want to change the way that people feel about, you know, Takaful. You know, everybody thinks of us as tradition, Sharia compliance. Yes, but as an organization, we look towards being a flexible organization as part and parcel of our business plan. You know, so we do hire part-timers. We do look at people with good skills that could contribute and hire them as consultants to basically look at deliverables at the end of the day. So that's what it is. I think an advice to the future of the workforce is having to be patient and to be resilient. Today, we know that, you know, everybody wants instantaneous results, you know, find instantaneous solutions to everything. So we're going to be, you know, looking at workforce being extraordinarily impatient to get to the solution. So, yeah, you know, it's having to manage a more resilient and patient workforce, impatient workforce, you know, for that matter. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, let me add on to that. So in U-Mobile, right, we are fronting the telco and the telco industry, and as we know now, we are also supporting the government with the 5G implementation, right? Right under the DNB. That also means, right, we are directly supporting the technology advancement for the country, for Malaysia, right? So let's not worry about how technology is going to take away the roles of human. We better worry about what human can do, right, with better skills, because technology will be again programmed, right? All those AI machine learning, they still need people to kind of like fine-tune, create the machine learning, create the AI. So in a way, to support the digital and connectivity, is go back to, I would say, I encourage the graduates here to also look into, besides just the digital technology skills and advancement, the people skills that at times it could be overlooked. Simple things like empathy, right? Empathy is easily said as try to walk a mile in another person's shoes. When was the last time you do that? Yep. In organizations, there's sometimes a lot of conflict happen. While we all are clear what are the things that we want to achieve for the organizations, however, due to stress, sometimes conflicts happen, stakes are high. So if we can be more empathetic, I would say it is so very important, I would say, stake and skill to have that will help the country to also advance more into the future. So back to Ben and Latifa.
Hi, yeah, I just have a couple of points to add to what's already been said. I think one of the things, Ben, that you asked earlier was that would parents, I'm being a parent too, would feel okay if my graduate son said that, oh, I'm just going to work part-time. I'm not going to look for, because that's the reality. There are many graduates and young people now who have a different view of life and different view of the future that they envision it to be. I think, that change in mindset, that change in aspiration, then dictate what they want or won't do now, right? So I think, that this new philosophy about life, about what's important, about material accumulation, things like that, change how people view things. And then the other thing that I also want to point out is that some jobs or some skills will not go away. Some needs are going to be there. For example, in whatever will turn out to be 3 years down the road or 4 years down the road, communication is going to be a skill that we all will still need to master. So you need to master communication to sell your products. You need to communicate to do a lot of your interaction. So I think there are certain jobs that will be more and more in demand, like technical writer, for example, because there are a lot more DIYs, there are a lot more online that you have to do yourself, but somebody has to write those instructions. Somebody has to go and test those steps, right? And that means someone who can communicate well in a written form is going to continue to be in demand. So the other jobs that I think we are seeing in demand now at Khazanah, we have been fortunate enough to be able to use experts in psychology. So psychologists who become coaches for performance are going to be in demand, and I think that's going to be one of the new role that will come in like common in the future, that people will go to somebody that they trust, somebody independent that they feel have got the insights to help them become a better person, a better performer. People will be willing to pay for such professionals in the future. So jobs like that, I think, are going to be in demand. Just like we see now chefs or bakers that get well known via social media, via their Instagram, there's going to be those other services that people will be willing to pay for expertise because of that particular individual's experience and track record. So that's I think that future is already here.
Fantastic stuff right there. And ladies, I'm going to ask you one more question, but as I'm going to throw the question at you first, then I'm going to make an announcement, and then you have to tell me the answer to that question that I'm about to throw to you. The question that I have is that the topic today is future work. What can we expect? So you've all spoken about learning with great passion and relearning. So I'm going to take that one step further and said the answer to that question is learn. But learn what? Because, and I'll tell you why in a minute, I put there learn online, learn class, and learn safe. Okay, but I want you to say learn what? Maybe it's learn communication, learn listening, learn data engineering, learn statistics. It could be anything. It's really up to you. So have a think about that, because I'm going to make a few announcements right now. There was about 4 questions that came in while I was stuck in the metaverse when I lost the connection. So I do apologize to Ashikin, who's been with us in the last few days, asking great questions. I think she asked about 5 or 6 questions. And then, there was a person here called Shawal, one Muhammad Afan, Ahmad Rizwan, Wilfred Hugh. Wilfred, you asked very, very specifically about financial questions. What I'm going to do with their permission, I'm going to speak to them after the conversation today. So ladies, please do not log off. Even though I say goodbye, please don't log off. Just say bye-bye to everybody out there. This person, Wilfred, has asked very specifically about working in the financial industry, and finance person sometimes can move over to the strategic industry. So Latifa and Suguna, if I could share their email with Wilfred, he can get in touch with you, and then maybe go from there as well. And then that's okay right there. Ahmad Rizwan, he had a question about upskilling and reskilling. We'll answer that in a minute. One Muhammad Afan, do you agree that skills are more important than knowledge now because knowledge is readily available on Google? No, sorry there, Afan. I'm going to answer this on the panel's behalf. Skills are skills. Skills will get you the job. What happens after that happens after that. But that magic skill that you have of coding, training and development, or coding, or engineering skills, that will get you the first job and really build your career right there. Okay, I think the ladies will agree with me there. If they disagree with me, please speak so now. And Shawal, may I know which is job, how to stand out at least from an interview? So Shawal, I will take that question up with Graduan, and then make sure that Graduan gets in touch with you right there, because this is a very, very common question that we get all the time in Graduan Aspire 2022 and other career fairs that I do. How do you stand out to get that ideal internship, to get that first job amongst other people? And it was a lot easier to answer that question with a face-to-face conversation over the years, because Graduan Aspire, the best part about Graduan Aspire was actually meeting up in KLCC and having a chat with all those wonderful people. Because at the end of the day, we talk about digital, we talk about tech, we talk about engineering. Nothing beats a good old conversation or tete-a-tete like Lisa was saying just now. So sorry to be so long-winded, ladies. However, if you can just answer that question. So when people open this topic, future work, what can we expect? What can we expect? And we can expect to learn, but learn what? And I'll start with you, Lisa.
Oh, okay. Well, to me, 2 words came to mind. Learn to up-wield. Yeah, you got to be motivated and passionate, and upskill.
Say that again, learn to? I'm writing this down.
Up-wield.
Will. Okay. All right, learn to up-will. Okay, good. That's a nice hashtag right there. Okay.
Hashtag up-will.
Latifa?
I would say, everyone must find a way on how to learn. Learning how to learn. Is that
learning how to learn? Okay.
Yeah, because there's a certain way of forcing yourself to learn and steps to learn new things. And I think some people come to the job but are not able to learn. So you always have to know the speed of learning is going to be crucial, because in many occasions employees do not have the time. They throw a problem at you, they ask you to go and to find a solution, so you are expected to find a way on how to learn to solve them. Okay, so cool. Yep. That's going to be key.
Learn how to learn. Wow, that's a topic in itself. Christina.
Yeah, similar to what Latifa mentioned, my one is more specific. Learn to adapt with uncertainty. Why that? Yeah, adapt with uncertainty. Just like with the recent pandemic, to what we talk about now, the future of work is about the uncertainty. So being someone like, say we have skill or trained in one particular area, now we are like dumb to stay afloat in another area. So we have to be, hold on to the poker face, right? Learn whatever can on the role, on the job, and then adapt in the role. Yeah.
Okay, very much about adaptability. Suguna.
So this is going to sound a little bit different, but
different is good. Yeah.
learn what the world wants, like, what people want. Learn about what people want. Yeah, because I feel that opens bigger, it helps open up opportunities for our graduates, because if they join an organization and then they have this mindset of learning what customer wants, they can help shape the priorities for the businesses. And if they go beyond that and think about what the world wants, learning about what the world needs, it actually also allows them to think about being entrepreneur, like what Latifa was talking about. They can be their own businessmen. They can come up with models about solving people's problem, right? So to me, I feel learn about what your environment needs, then sky isn't your limit, like, in that sense.
That's a very good point, because a successful entrepreneur once told me in an interview, they said, please give the market what they need, not what they want. Someone might want a Ferrari, but actually what the market needs is a kancil, because it's safe, it's cheap, and it's applicable. I'm not trying to put out great things about kancil, but you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Correct.
But that's a really, really good point. So, ladies, I'm just going to summarize the topic right here. What was the topic? Future of work. What can we expect? All the ladies today have said learn. Learn what? Learn to upwill, learn how to learn to adapt to uncertainty, learn the technicals. I put in there, learn the technicals, learn the communication, and learn what organizations want. Do not live in that ideal world. Yes, it's nice to be ideal, like Latifa spoke about earlier, but at the end of the day, it's about practicality. One of the attendees asked, I said, do we go on knowledge or do we go on skills? It's skills, because that's what the market wants. It's skills, nothing more, nothing less. So based on that, it's been a very, very wonderful conversation, ladies. Thank you so much for your time. That sums up our conversation here at Graduate Inspire 2022 for this topic. To all our attendees who dialed in, thank you so much for your dial-in. Apologies that we couldn't get to all the questions. But one thing that Graduate Inspire does very, very well, and I worked with them for almost 15 years, is that they do try to get back to you in terms of answering the question. And also they're very open about connecting yourself with the speakers. They're not shy by that. They don't protect their contacts. They're very, very open. So Latifa and Suguna, expect an email from Wilfred over there about some financial questions. And Christina and Lisa, I think there will be some questions about internships and opportunities and really what type of specific skills to learn, because there was a lot about that, especially on the digital skills side, because obviously attending a physical class is a bit of a challenge at the moment. Ladies, as always, it's wonderful. Stay online, please, at the end, so Graduate can say a few words to you offline, but online wise, it's been a fantastic conversation. Thank you everyone for watching Graduate Aspire 2022. Let me repeat that. Graduate Aspire 2022. I think the drill was in the wall when I said that. It's been a wonderful conversation. My name is Ben Ibrahim, and on behalf of Lisa, Christina, Suguna, and Latifa, take care, stay safe, and remember, keep learning all the time. And when you do it with a big smile on your face. Take care, everyone, and stay safe.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.